Now for our next big magic trick, we're going to add one of the most requested features that I've seen in the discussion boards. We're going to set ourselves up to be able to do weighted averages, and by that I mean we're going to have a daily average and certain assignments that count as daily grades, quiz average, and a test average, and we're going to adapt our final average based on these weights. We're going to do this in two parts. Alright, let's start out by making some room for the daily, quiz, and test averages. So I'm going to go up here to the top and select the M column, and I'm going to right click, or if you don't have a right click button, you can do Control on the keyboard and just a normal click. And I'm going to insert a column for the daily average. I'm going to do it again for the quiz average, and once more for the test average. Now I want to update these labels while I'm at it, and it looks like I'm typing over one, but this is the correct spot. This will be my daily average, this will be my quiz average, and this will be my test average. Good, now we have the headers done. Next, we need to add another row so that we can specify each assignment as a daily, quiz, or test grade. So with the third column selected, I'm going to right or control click and choose insert. And let's add some labels here. Just to keep all my labeling consistent, I'm just going to give myself a reminder that this is the first and last name. And I'm going to give different assignment categories for each assignment here. Now you are welcome to do different categories than I do, but try to make sure you have more than one assignment for each category, otherwise you're not really doing much averaging. So I'm going to make my first three daily. This one will be a quiz since it says chapter 3 quiz. Then I'll go back to daily. I will make my group project, I'll make that one a daily grade also. Chapter 3 test will obviously be a test. I need one more quiz, so I'll make my notebook a quiz grade, and then I'll do daily and test. Now this may seem redundant, but just so we can match up names here in a moment, we're going to also put the labels over each of our averages, just to keep that easy to do. One last thing, I'm going to go ahead and put in the weights. We're going to actually use those in the next step, but I'll go ahead and put those in. I'm going to make my daily average 50%, my quiz average 25%, and my test average 25%. Again, you are welcome to do different weights if you want, but just make sure that we have something that adds up to 100%. All right. We are going to, in this box, look at trying to get the average for Yogi Bear on any assignment that has daily above it, all of his daily grades. So in other words, to try to abstract this, this box needs to look at all the grades on the same row and check to see if their category is the same as the current category. Now, since we're going to be referring to this area over and over, I'm going to select it, and I'm just going to name it category. That way I don't have to keep addressing those cells over and over. That's going to be a big time saver for us. Now in this box, to get this average, we want it to average if these numbers match the same category. So we're going to use a function called average if, and we've seen something similar to that before. But just to give a little help here, we're going to go to our more functions, and we're going to look up the average if and learn a little bit about it. We're going to go to more help. It tells us there's three parts to the average if function: a range, a criteria, and then what actually gets averaged. Now their definition is a little misleading. They try to tell you the range of what you want to average. If you don't have the third part, then yes, that's true, but really this is the part that you're going to test for a criteria. This is the criteria that you're using, and then this is what actually gets averaged if you specify a third argument. Okay, so we'll close out the help. Mine already has an equal sign. If yours doesn't, you can put that in, and we'll start typing average if parenthesis. And it prompts us again. We've got the range that we're going to check, the criteria that we're going to check it with, and what actually gets averaged. The range I'm going to check is these guys. I'm going to check these to see if they match my current category. So my first argument is going to be the word category. Remember, I named this area category, comma. The criteria, I want to check to see if it matches my current area. So I'm just going to click on daily. Then our third argument is what are we actually averaging? It's going to be all of Yogi's grades through here. And some of them are covered up. But let's make sure we get all the way over to that L column. See, it says C4 to L4. And I'm going to close the parenthesis. And I'm going to click enter. I'm going to go back to it because there's one thing we need to think about. I have a category here, and that's not going to change because I named it. This M3, when we move this formula over, it's going to become N3. That's totally okay. And we move it over again, it's going to become O3. That's totally fine. The problem though is when we start to copy this formula downward, it's going to become M3 and then it's going to become M4. Well, M4 won't hold our category anymore. We want it to always look at the name, but we want the letter part to change. We always want it to look at the third row. We want the 3 to stay constant, but we don't necessarily need it to always be M. It might be M, N, or O. So in the formula, I'm going to click in between the M and the 3, and I'm going to put a $sign so that I lock the 3. That way, no matter what I do, the 3 will not change. It won't try to be helpful to me. The 3 will stay the same. One other issue to keep in mind is this C4 to L4. Right now, C4 to L4 works good. And if I pull this across, it's still going to be on 4, but when we move across, it changes the letters. And we don't want it to become D to M. So what I want to do is lock the letter. I want the number to be able to change because as we move down, I want it to become C5 to L5 and C6, but I never want the letter part to change. So I'm going to put a $sign before the letter and before the letter. The $sign just locks that in. So now I'm going to click enter to lock that in, and I have my daily average. Now I'm going to just pull it across so I get the same thing for my quiz and test averages. So you'll see my quiz average is looking at N3, so it's grabbing the quiz name, but it's still looking at C4 to L4. And my test average is looking at O3, which is the test name, but it's still looking at C4 to L4. Now we need to copy this down, so I'm going to select all these cells, and we're going to make sure that we don't lose our striping. So I'm going to go to Edit Copy, and then I'm going to click Shift and the last box, and that way I can paste special, and we just want to get the formulas. Very good. Now if we had any strange extra numbers or weird formatting, we could go in like we've done with several of the others and adjust our decimal formatting as needed. And at the bottom, I'm pulling across my average here to make sure that we have those averages all the way across. We're not going to do anything fancy. It's still just going to be an average of the class daily, quiz, and test grades there. Alright, so now we have our categories averaged. In our next video, we're going to actually weight it and affect our average over here and update our average. Let's make sure we save it, and I'll see you in the next step.